and noticing we're on a slightly musical path, I was going to share the lyrics of one of my favorite songs and then share a few of my pieces, if you'll indulge me. How familiar are you all with the band? Thank you for coming.
Yeah, exactly.
How familiar are you with the band King Crimson? Anybody? Slightly familiar?
I think you've talked about that.
Probably. So this is the title track of their first album. Probably one of my favorite lyricists in the entire world is Peter Sinfield. He's also a poet. He wrote the lyrics for the first 4 King Crimson albums, and so this is the Court of the Crimson King. The rusted chains of prison moons fell shattered in the sun. I walk a road, horizons change, the tournament has begun. The purple piper plays his tune, the choir softly sing 3 lullabies in an ancient tongue for the court of the Crimson King. The keeper of the city keys put shutters on the dreams. I wait outside the pilgrim's door for insufficient schemes. The Black Queen chants the funeral march, the cracked brass bells will ring to summon back the Fire Witch to the court of the Crimson King. On soft gray mornings widows cry, the wise men share a joke. I walked past divining signs to satisfy the hoax. The yellow jester does not play, but gently pulls the strings. He smiles as the puppets dance in the court of the Crimson King. So,
I like that.
yeah. If you listen to this song, it's going to blow your mind, I promise you. Maybe promise. So over time, I sort of rediscovered the joy of writing my pieces down on paper that was not in the conventional notebook, and sent a jolt of electricity throughout my body, something I hadn't felt in a while. I haven't felt stagnant with my work per se, but I used to do this more often. So I wrote this one, actually both of those, on Saturday night at this 1980s dance club. It's okay if you can't picture me dancing. I can't picture me dancing either. I can't. Yeah, I can't really dance. It just let my body do whatever. For me, as long as it doesn't look like I'm dying, I think I'm okay. I haven't had anybody come up to me just yet and say, "Sir, are you all right?" Just yet, so safe. So I wrote this, and this is just untitled. Flea-bitten mutt, stuck in transcendental ruts, deafened by the hordes of arachnids, led by the seamstress and her handiwork, spun by randomly generated numbers. Loved her tonight, loved her last night, thought about her lunar eyes, cycling through different phases, howled at every one of them, waning through seasonal change and speaking wax poetic at her right stuff, turning left at Petty Problem Avenue, remaining vacant until a wiser heart navigates the way to gilded pastures. So, some of you know about this, and I know I've read at least 1 or 2 pieces from this.
Your epic poem.
There you go. My most recent one.
The sci-fi?
I'm sorry?
This is the sci-fi?
It's a fantasy and horror, fantasy horror crossover, mainly leading towards horror. And before I read, I'm going to have to break the barriers and explain a couple of the references. So it's called Regretful Song of the Ankaranth. And the Ankaranth are, it's a fictional folk I created who live in the only pretty much urban part of this universe. And it's called, their home is Ankar. And then they mention these 2 different types of people, the criers and breathers. They were once Ankaranth, but they were hastily sent in exile to the Badlands. And this piece, along with the others I've shared prior to this reading, were in the supplementary poems and songs section. So, and this is one I've turned into a song. So, Regretful Song of the Ankaranth. All away, cursed and blessed, the ordained waters bled. All away, the Ankaranth stand alone, letting the gods take their lives' daily bread. Sinking under the land, crying with their struggle, contacting death as an eager friend, screaming with hands upright, letting fatigue wash them over, adrenaline powering a futile fight through a massacre, though a massacre's blood will blend. They know nothing of civilized words. Actions speak louder than the weary song of swords. The actions taken, lust for power, not prosperity, gravely mistaken. They migrate into Ankaranth from the barren outer desert. Criers and breathers beg for company, yet exile is equality's lessened effort. Their city walls collapsed like an elder out of air, their war-torn armies giving off 1,000-yard stares. The end, as inevitable as the sun's protruding glare. Suicide was committed thanks to the demon's gaze. Aerial rituals performed on their last days. All away, cursed and blessed, the ordained waters bled. All away, the Ankaranth stand alone, letting the gods take their lives' daily bread. This. So, because I'm feeling in a slightly sappy mood, can't exactly explain why yet. Don't want to jinx anything. It's in an infantile stage, I suppose you could say. I'm going to leave the name out of the title and just call it First Impressions. I had a first date on Friday, and it was just miraculous. So it's just, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. And if you can't tell, this is a receipt. So I miss doing this. I wrote my first longest piece, which was 2 or 3 pages, on an extremely long receipt at this bank I used to work at. It's an international bank of commerce. I call it. So, I mean that in the nicest possible way. Okay, so it's person's name, first impressions. Here we go. Contagious laughter echoes financial vaultways lost in the dusk of her skin. A gem to behold in every light, this shade and that hue, her multifaceted creations come to life through oral speech and ivory smile. And when the gongs bang together, her presence bewilders me. And when the tinkshas chime together, her declarations inspire me. And when the bells ring together, her quintessential essence and aura sparkled starlight. Glass tears of joy break the ice. I know you now, querida. Spilling secretive glasses of philosophy, tasting your belief systems. Brightest darkness envelops me, sending me off as half-written letters of adoration to your doorstep, a smile that belongs to her honey-sweet accompanying green apples, warmth of her heart verses, a mug of sun-kissed tea. Our reason happened for a moment, our moment happened for a reason.
It sounds like it went pretty good.
Chapter 1 went well. Let's hope for chapter 2.
Keep us posted.
You betcha. And last but not least, I'm actually working on something in this notebook, which is, I guess technically you could say it could be my latest epic. Compared to another one I've written, you could tell that there was a story somewhere in there, but the pieces were extremely surreal, extremely trippy. So this one explores all aspects of dreams, the psyche, nightmares, the unconscious mind, which, as out there as it seems, this gave me total creative freedom, which I loved. And some of them are in formal verse, some of them are in free verse. This one's free verse. And this one is just called The Perfect Reverie. We wandered once in this Zen garden, absorbing every color of sound we could hear with synesthesia as our guide. Twin flames were put out by the electric ocean we conducted out of thin air sighs, synchronizing with the galloping stampede, gliding through wind without cares. We wandered, but only once. We recited our written manifestations to one another, connecting with the collective creativity, two self-educated academics with a thirst for literature. Unread palms enter psychic phenomena, lavender with twists of violet. I have voluntarily stepped into your web of seduction, arachnid mistress. Tangle me in each verse, in each stanza. We recited, but only once. We kissed until the two spheres who battled for 24-hour custody of the sky, our goddesses and legends, have entered into myth, keeping our tasteful lips at an unrestricted distance. But when we have reached Nirvana's wink, it hardly seems to matter anymore. Daydream believers, we pay tribute to you. We kissed, but only repeatedly. All of your hearts have seemed to stop beating, remaining idle on the darkest side. Fires that never pass, the flames of war, sweep themselves under shielded rugs. On national wealth's regretful floors, all prior scribblings left as etchings on French caves, signs of upright life in simplicity's downward spiral gatherings. Grandfathered into this burning meadow, a scene as bland as chaos itself, we dance the cumbia like you taught me. Your Spanish eyes smile as wide... there are sometimes I can't even read my own bloody handwriting. Yikes. Okay. Your Spanish eyes smile wider than these arms could ever hold you. Not ready to grieve you just yet. We enter one final death trek into abandoned sanctuary, vandalized halls of knock 3 times, my rolling tongues, the monotonous sounds of insecurities and stress. We loved one another until subcontinents told nature to divide us in the least amicable way. Left to colonize in a haven of barbaric mannerisms, we sink our teeth into carnal flesh, feeding primal instincts to provide imagery for the hours of tonight. The woman of every dawn dines in her satin gown, in her birth gown, awaiting further life decisions from below the surface. We loved, but only for every lifetime. Thank you very much. Poetry lives. Thank you all so much for coming.